Hi everyone. Never do for a child what a child can do for himself. And that may sound a little harsh for us loving parents that just want to help our children. But let's look at another one. A parent that does everything for their child raises a child that believes they can do nothing for themselves.
Yeah.
And that's super sobering. We'll go more into it, especially also stay with us until the end of the video because we will reveal who of us has been over-parented. Let's be honest, like doing everything for our children is easier, less messy, less frustrating, but we are not called to just like have an easy life or simplify everything with our children, but to really train them, as it's written in Proverbs 22, train up a child in the way they should go.
We fall so easy into the trap of preparing the road for the child instead of preparing the child for the road. And it starts very early. I remember when they were small, they're going to school, they maybe forget their lunch, remember?
Yeah.
What do you do?
Yeah. It's all like they're not doing their homework. We step in and finish it for them. They forgot their sports bag. We carry it to them, or they forgot their lunch as snacks. And we bring it to school, and we step in all the time, and our children don't have any consequences first. Secondly, we don't train them at all because they don't have this desire to want to think about anything because they know mom or dad will run after them and bring it. So saving them.
And I love, this is something we have rarely spoken about. It's about the natural consequence.
Yeah.
And I think through natural consequence, we learn very well. For example, as you mentioned, the kid forgot his lunchbox or whatever, then he won't eat.
Yeah.
And the day after, he will learn, okay, this was a hard, I really wanted to eat, I didn't have anything. So he's gonna remember to prepare his lunchbox and take him with.
Yeah.
So I think natural consequence are actually helping us or helping the child to think about it. And I don't think it takes many natural consequences to change a habit. But
Depends on the child.
It depends on the child. But if we always run around, for sure they don't have an opportunity to learn something.
Yeah, and we're not obeying that Proverbs 22 where it says train a child. And training a child is not like putting all or like taking the stones away from the road so they have smooth sailing. And usually, I know it comes from a heart because when I talk to moms or dads that like do that, it comes from a loving heart. But if you go even deeper, and I heard that of a psychologist, is that parents do that and it's really selfish. It's because they feel better afterward. Their kid doesn't have to, like, is not hurt, is not hungry, is not, doesn't feel bad. So they do it really for themselves. So they don't have to as well feel this pain of their child. Sometimes it's also, you're probably like over parenting your child and you're like too, how do you say, in symbiosis?
In symbiosis,
yeah, with your child that is unhealthy, that you feel everything so extremely, and you just try to avoid that by doing everything for your child. And also, I think like one thing I don't like, or I'll forget it, is a lot of times you also do it because you want your child to stay dependent on you.
Wow.
And that you still feel like your child needs you.
That's interesting.
Which is not how we should raise our children. We should raise our children to have roots and wings, and the wings to leave and feel capable of living. And our children are not born to add to our identity, but they have a specific purpose that like goes beyond us and is not for our well-being or that we look good.
Yes, I love it, to add to our identity.
Yeah.
That's a hard one.
Yeah, they shouldn't.
Yeah,
Of
course they shouldn't.
But like,
how often do we actually do this?
Yeah.
And maybe I don't fall into some of the traps like we mentioned here, but just the idea of you know, when I go out, this pride of having your kids, of course it's good, but how much is a good pride?
Yeah.
Or how much is like feeding your identity? Look at me.
Yeah.
I made it. I have 3 beautiful children or whatever. It's interesting, you know. Actually, if you think.
I think we all have it to a
Yeah.
certain extent where we need to go and dig deeper. Am I overparenting my children? Or am I like selfishly parenting my children for myself? And I think we'll do another video on that, because that's like kind of like I teach obedience to my children because I look good then.
Yeah.
If I'm somewhere in a group,
Yeah.
like we've talked a lot, and I think you can fall into that quickly, like, oh, my kid sleeps. And it's like kind of a pride. I can bring it everywhere and like all of that. And it shouldn't be that. It should really be for the child and not for ourselves.
You actually receive praises from other people, which I know very well. This is something you have to be careful. So why do you do it? To receive praises? Why do you help to receive praises? All this. It's interesting. If we go a bit deeper, it's actually pretty interesting. So basically doing everything for your child seems to not have consequences.
Yeah.
We may think so, but in the moment, but actually in the long run, you are handicapping your child.
Yeah. And that starts, as we already said, little, and maybe you'll just listen and see, ooh, have I fallen into it or not? So we've already said your child, his homework is not finished.
Yeah.
So you run into it because you just like feel this pain, your child is frustrated, and you're like, okay, let's finish it for you. And we're not talking about helping your child or supporting it. Like finishing a homework is very different than just like helping them.
Yeah.
Or like what we've seen a lot, like in Barcelona when we lived there. In the morning when I took the metro, all the school kids usually took metros or buses with their parents, especially when they're small. And you see the parents carrying the backpacks of their kids. And that's also just a really small thing. And you're like, oh, my small child can't carry it, it's too heavy. Yeah. But it's just, it goes in this mindset of like taking the responsibility that your child has and lifting it off their shoulder and putting them on yours.
Or when they fail or they face conflict, it's never our children's fault. It's always someone else. This you hear very often. When you're a teacher, you hear those parents, they overprotect the children instead of taking advantage of what happened and learn a lesson for the child.
Exactly. So the most loving thing we can do is to take those opportunities and believe that our children can grow with them. And not step in too quickly, but just like let them go through this process of thinking, of learning, of just like being in a natural consequence too, and like observing what they could do better next time. Now there's the big reveal of who of us has been overparented. I'll give you a second to just like choose for yourself.
The one that was overparented, I think it's, let's look today who is overparenting. And very often how you parent today, it's because of what happened in the past. So I have the tendency to overparent.
And you've been overparented.
And I've been overparented. Yes. I didn't see it so much that I was overparenting when they were younger. So I was not the guy necessarily running to the school. I was pretty strict with this. Natural consequence was something I found interesting, but I'm definitely now overparenting when they're teenagers. And this is something that comes quite often when you say you are taking over.
Yeah, and I think too, because I mean, you were working the whole day. So you didn't have the opportunity to overparent. It would have maybe looked different when you would have been at home with the kids. But I think it's more interesting to look at it for them from the standpoint of a child, because you can speak to them as parents what it does to you.
If I look at it in a nutshell, they stole the decision making out of me. And when you steal the decision making, there's a lot of consequence. And there's something I would have said before that I'm handicapped. And it's getting better, but I'm still handicapped of all this over parenting on me. My parents couldn't have children, and I came a little bit late. So I guess I was this baby king, whatever, the one you're expecting.
So you were adopted.
I was adopted. So there's a lot of things that can explain the overprotection, but for sure it didn't do well. It was to an extent that they will even choose for me if I was doing nothing, a school. You know, they would say, you should apply to that school. I wouldn't apply, and then they would apply for me.
But you also like to take the process. You didn't apply because you were used to that they would do everything.
I think it's a vicious circle. And one day I spoke to them and said, why did you do this?
Yeah.
And I also, they did the same with my two sisters. Yeah. And the answer was, it's because you couldn't do anything else. Like you didn't have the capacity. Yeah. So we had to come and clean up the mess.
Or you would have never done it.
You would have never done it. And I think that's a big lie. Because you need at least once to prove that you can.
Yeah.
And I believe it's like a muscle today. More you do, more you fall, unfortunately, but this is how it works. You fall and then you learn the natural consequence of all this. So I think it's a big lie. If you have this tendency, of course, these children, they need more help, but still, you can help your children without stealing the process.
Yeah. Help or support is not doing it for your child.
Yeah.
That's the big difference. You can help and support your child and just sit if they feel overwhelmed in applying to a school, for sure. You step in and you support them, but you don't take the paper and do everything on your own and then they sign and it's sent off.
In here we're speaking about practical things, but emotionally speaking, they also stole the process of emotion. So it's always, they were not saying it was always someone else's fault, but it's always, it's difficult. It's not your fault. They didn't point the finger, which was good, but there was kind of a spirit of being, it's always difficult. And this is also stealing. You're not pushed to go to the next level. Hey, we failed here, blah, blah, blah. We can go next level. But there's
you can go. It's it's also, I think that's as well, just the wording as a parent. We're encouraging the child to do it and not we do it.
But because of this spirit of kind of a depression to a certain extent.
Yeah, that's another a topic, but I think what is really, really interesting is to see how did it affect you in adulthood.
I realized for me it's super difficult to finish things that I start, finish a book, finish a project. All the projects I did at school, I never finished them. It was my parents finishing them. When I was later in a professional school without my parents, very often I was in groups, and I'm not proud of it yet, but the group was kind of doing my work.
You got everybody to do, if it was a group project, everybody did it except you.
Exactly. And what I realized later, that it's even worse than this. I became a manipulator in a way there was something attached to it to make the other one do, so they don't feel like I'm a bad person, but they just take over because they like me. So there was some manipulation in there. And this has been following me all my life. Of course, there's people, they're entrepreneurial, there's, the Reds, but I'm not necessarily like this in the first...
Which, I always say, and I think we talk about this a lot.
Yes. I know what you're going to say.
There's so much, our parenting and our upbringing forms us in such a way that maybe God hasn't intended us, and it diverts us. And it's important to just go with God to heal those wounds and to ask Him, how did you really make me?
Yes.
Because it becomes an excuse. Yeah. And for everybody, I also had my own excuse on the other side of not wanting to be seen. So my excuse was, I'm an introvert. I'm not going to be out there. I'm not going to speak in front of other people or start something because that's just not me. Which was a lie, also shaped my upbringing that I believe that. So because of the situation, because of what happened, I have the tendency now, it's better, but I would say I'm not entrepreneurial. Yeah. This is not what God has given me. You still say it sometimes, and you got prophetic words
you
are.
And I think it's because of this always pushed down, always done for you. So it's far away from entrepreneurial thinking. It's actually exactly the contrary. So all this to say, suddenly you marry someone that is exactly the contrary that we have here. And of course,
which is also not healthy.
It brought lots of tension.
Yeah.
At the same time, it's beautiful because we have different skills, but we need to be healed from the bad things. And I really needed.
Yeah, because we both have to heal. It's not just like complementing each other, because if we complement each other in our unhealthy patterns, that doesn't bring forth anything healthy. So me being very independent and working and doing everything on my own, like marrying Hugues, that like was used to that everybody did everything for him. Both of it wasn't from a healthy sense. So a lot of times when we hear, or we're compatible, we like bring different different strengths to the table, but both of that was not a strength. We had to heal. I had to heal my performance in just like having my identity in God. And you had to heal your part too, and only then can we like be compatible or like find a middle way or learn from each other.
Because the big danger, and we saw it, it's like she would become my mom. You know, like
it's like the thing you hate
like,
and you never want to do.
Like not really my mom, but like you will take the position like my parents have, having someone that is very strong. She's gonna do everything for you. And sometimes the joke was, I said, I wish Shamir was not so strong so I can do more, which is totally wrong. But this, you know.
Yeah, because would you really step up in doing it?
Of course not, because I'm handicapped. But what I'm saying.
But I was like, it's interesting now to talk about it because we didn't speak about it. I don't feel I did everything for you.
No.
Because I feel that was really something that I saw, which is interesting in my parents afterward. They did for my brother, who was like 12 years younger. And I had this view, I really didn't want to do that. So I feel I didn't do it. You feel I did.
No, not really. I mean, to a certain extent, she, because of this tendency of those characters that are polarized, you know, you as someone that can do, and me as someone that can't do, I'm attracted to, you know, like you will take things from me. Like naturally you could take things from me. That's what I wanted to say. But in reality, it's true. It didn't happen so much, and very often she was harsh because she knew it, and she saw it in my parents. You know, those stories, you even see them when you go and visit your parents and you're 50 years old.
Yeah, you still like we fall into the almost a kid role. If we're not healed.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So we had to have a talk at some point with my parents to just discuss, and
I mean you.
Yeah, and I told them, look, this is something that was really difficult for me, and I saw it later. I was handicapped. They did understand. They did, but actually they didn't really understand. They were nice. They heard it, but they didn't really understand, and they had the impression that they did everything wrong. Which is not true. After I told it.
Yeah, and that's like kind of the answer or the reactions of parents. If like we as kids wanted to process things growing up, the justification and afterward falling into the victimization that we did everything wrong. And I think we just can learn for ourselves, for our own kids when they come, that we don't fall in this. Which is a natural part, so we have to fight against it for reconciliation, and that we forgive, like we ask for forgiveness for what our kids felt. But yeah, I think that was an important like part.
I'm gonna give you the last word.
Okay, wow.
On that camera, really don't fall into this. You really create children later, they will be handicapped. And I love what Shamir said. By being handicapped, you may go astray from maybe what God intended for your life. It's pretty hard to say this, and you know, I can say it because of my story. So let's be careful.
So what is your true identity? What, like as a child, as an adult now, ask yourself, how was I parented? Do I naturally fall into this? Have I like listened to this video now and I'm like, and that's why I love it, because we can speak from a theoretical point, But like if you speak from your experience as an adult now, it touches us very differently, and we can process it from a different angle than just judgmental facts about how it like handicaps your kids on a theoretical level.
And it goes in all directions. I spoke with a guy 2 days ago, and he received money every time he did a good note. So for him, success.
That's like very common.
Yeah, success was receiving money.
Yeah.
And he says today is overly successful. He always wants to go because he
More.
receives identity, he receives love, kind of the money to a certain extent by climbing the ladder. So, hey.
It goes deep, 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 you can see. But yeah, we hope this encourages you. And if you have any questions, just put them in the comments. We would love to read them and answer them. And maybe you have other ideas for your videos we can do in the future. We'd love to hear that. But until then, we're looking forward to next week. Bye.